Hi, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Kelly with Empowered. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more about last week. I spoke about my fractured or broken relationship with one of my adult sons. And I just had thought over the weekend. Obviously, the birthday party was on Saturday, and I did go. And since our conversation, I think my son or maybe his wife, I'm not sure, either one of them kind of had a change of heart and did reach out to some of my son's siblings. And so my daughter was there, my two youngest sons were there, and then my oldest son was there. The other boys and the baby were not able to make it. And so we were there on Saturday, and she had a really beautiful party. Like I said, all Mickey Moused out or Minnie Mouse, I'm sorry. And so we were able to be there with them, and things were good. Some of her family was there as well. But I do know that it's a work in progress. It's something that is not, I don't expect it, and I know that they probably don't either expect it to be something that we just snap our fingers and everything is all good. Now there's definitely work to be done, and I believe the biggest part of it for me, and possibly for some of the other people involved, would be like forgiveness. And so it was just things that I was thinking on over the weekend, and then even today, just thinking about forgiveness. And I know that things will continue to probably come up over the years. Like I said last week, no family is perfect. We're all flawed. And for me, definitely I'm flawed. And I know that the forgiveness is something that's going to probably rise up in me every time, we have, I guess, difficult conversations or we have disagreements, but I know that forgiveness is something that I do for myself, not necessarily for the other person. I can overlook things and I can move past things, because if I hold on to something or unforgiveness, then it's going to hinder me at my walk. And so I'm praying that for all of us as a family, that we would be able to come to a place of forgiveness and talk about things in a calm manner. When we do come against some, hard discussions or some disagreements, that we'll talk about it in an adult or calm manner. And if those things are not something that, and not just for my family, but for other families and other relationships, if that's not something that is doable, then definitely, I don't think we're there now, but it is definitely a place where you could, reach out for help from, whether it be a counselor or, a close friend, confidant, somebody that you feel like can be a good sounding board, but also, not biased in one area or the other, towards one person or the other. And also can look like, maybe talking to a pastor to get things resolved. And last week, I know it was a pretty vulnerable place for me to be. And I feel like the theme of this podcast of Empowered has been me being vulnerable, and in essence, the doing hard things, the doing things scared. It's a vulnerable place for me to be, and so I I do apologize. Sometimes I get emotional, but I know that is because it is something so close to my heart, and it does make me very emotional, especially talking about my kids, because of how much I love them, and then also when I talk about my faith as well. Because it is, those two things are so intertwined. And so hopefully it all comes across and relatable to people. But I just want to give y'all that little that little update on, I did go to the party. Some of his siblings were there. Mia had the best time. She really enjoyed her gifts. I was able to make sure that, because I did have to leave a little bit early and take my one of my youngest to work, but then I wound up having a blowout after we left, right as we were leaving the party. And so my youngest son, who was the only one that was still there, he had to come and help me with my tire and stuff like that. But we got it all patched up and he did really good. I've never changed a tire myself. So I do rely on my boys sometimes for things like that because I don't have a husband or significant other. But yeah, so the party was good and she really enjoyed. They sent me pictures afterwards and like the gift that I had gotten her. And so when I go, and the next time I go and see her, I plan to do her nails for her because I bought her some things for her to do her nails because she's really into having her nails done. So she's excited about that. And I am too. And it's just, time for us to spend together that we can bond and then, share memories. So I'm looking forward to that. But I just thought I would give you all that update so that you kind of know where we are. And after my discussion last week, and then also on Saturday, the party. But what I wanted to talk about today was about accountability. And so last week I spoke a little bit about it as well, where I was just talking with my son and his now wife that, in our relationship, I'm not always going to agree with them. I'm not always going to, do exactly what they want or say what they want me to say. And that's true in any relationship, right? But not just accountability, but kind of your self-awareness, self-appraisal is what one of my old bosses used to say, where we are not the best at giving ourselves, doing a self-appraisal. And so, or knowing how we kind of come across. And I think that is where sometimes, offense can happen or, hurt feelings, disagreements can come in when we aren't aware of how we come across to someone. And so it's not just about, having the right people around us that will hold us accountable, but also holding ourselves accountable. And so I know that in doing, being self-aware and doing self-appraisals, just being mindful of how I come off and how I'm treating other people. Because I do, like I said, I do know that I am flawed and I'm not perfect. I have things that I need to work on. And I really do think that if have the right people around us, like our circle of people, they are going to be leading us or pushing us in a direction of self-growth, but also healing. Because I think we forget sometimes that we're not always right. We sometimes are the problem. We sometimes can be mean or ugly. It doesn't take away from who we are as a person, right? It doesn't make us less worthy of love or forgiveness. It just means sometimes we're the problem. Sometimes we're cutting people off, and maybe we're cutting everybody off because we don't like what we're hearing. But everyone else is trying to hold us accountable, and we would rather run in the other direction, right? And so I think that for me in the past, cutting relationships off, I was honest last week and said that I've done that with one of my sisters. And I'll be honest, I know that at that time that was the right thing for me to do. And I needed to remove some of her, what I would call, negative or toxicity that was in my life at that time, out of my life. It wasn't good for me and my family, my marriage at the time, because it was just it was something that she would kind of call and unload on me, right? And let me know the chaos and the drama that was going on in her life. But it got me upset, worked up, and worried about her. And so I can't continue to do that with everybody in my life, because not everybody is negative. Not everybody is doing something wrong, right? If there's a disagreement, cutting them off is not the answer. It is have the hard conversation, or, let them know what they've done that made you feel some type of way. And so the biggest thing for me is having to check myself, and I'm pray and hope that I'm doing a good job of being self-aware, giving a good self-appraisal on the times when I'm, maybe I need my heart checked, or I need to know, am I doing this because I'm just still upset, not to be short or be, I guess, alienate somebody just because I'm irritated with them, or, yes, I've forgiven, but really have I let it go? And I'm not saying forgive and forget. Like, forgive, yes, because what they did, whether they meant it, to be hurtful or just to be downright mean and nasty, that's between them and God, right? You can forgive and just say, I'm not going to let it affect me. I'm not perfect. I've done things that I'm not proud of, so I'm going to move past it, but then not holding it against, because I'll say this in all honesty. I've cut people off. I have, held grudges, and I've kind of said this throughout just starting Empowered, that there's things that I know God wants to heal in me and grow me, mature me, right? And so those are things that I am not going to be able to do anymore. And I don't even know that, truthfully, I don't even know that I've ever really looked at it when I was younger and when those things were happening and I felt like I needed to, cut someone off, or no longer associate with them. I don't know that I really looked at it in the way I'm, like, how I'm looking at it now and truly understanding it that way. I just think for me, it was like, no, not good. I don't enjoy this relationship anymore, or it's just too much negative, too much toxicity, like we like to say. So I'm just gonna cut them off, and they're no longer a part of my life. But I don't think we truly grow from that. And the whole check, somebody checking you or check yourself, it'll do a lot of, a number of things. You're going to be self-aware. You also will have to accept that you're not always right. None of us are. Another would be keeps us humble. And then also seeing that you're not always right, accepting that possibly I could be the problem. Where can I go? How can I change that? How do I get right, basically? And so that's where the growth is going to come in, right? And be willing to do the work, be willing, be teachable, right? To do the work and grow from the situation. And so I know that everything that I've gone through with my son and our relationship, and there's, like I said, that it is still not 100% back to where it was. Truth be told, I don't know if we want it to ever be where we were before. I would hope that we want to be in an even better place, where he has an understanding of where I'm coming from, and as well as his wife, knowing that I'm not trying to, belittle their feelings or minimize their feelings, I should say, or make them feel like, they owe me something, or vice versa. I wasn't trying to rehash things really to, like, bring old stuff up or to air out our family drama, right? It was more because if we do not bring everything out in the open, in essence, we're trying to brush things under the rug, or there's a saying like, keep the peace. But truth is, you're not really keeping the peace. Somebody is still affected by the disagreement or the issue that everybody's trying to brush under the rug. And so that person who feels like they're not being heard or seen, or their opinions don't matter, they're going to start to grow some bitterness, anger, resentment, which is not healthy. None of it is good for us. And maturity maturity is not really a numbered thing. It's not really like you come to this certain age and you're just mature. Obviously the world says you're an adult at the age of 18. You can make all these decisions for yourself, but maturity is really more a mindset, and then realizing that I still have room for growth. I still have things that I can learn. I still have a ways to go. And so I know that I'm not where I need to be, but all of this is a learning process, and it's going to make me better in areas that I probably am lacking. And that's my hope and my prayer is for my kiddos to do the same, to be able to see where, there's an issue in them in doing some internal work, is going to benefit them as, obviously I've said I have 6 boys and 1 girl. So it's going to benefit them, my daughter as a woman, and her relationships, friendships, boyfriends, things like that. My sons some of them are married now, so to be better husbands, to be better fathers. And ultimately that's the end goal, is that they would be able to have those healthy relationships, and then it can be passed down to their children, and then on and on. And that's something that I will talk about on another episode. But just knowing that it's bigger than me. It's bigger than just this relationship that has had some issues, that I'm growing through it, and I'm praying and daily trying to do the work so that we can be in a better place. We can be a family that we all get to spend time together and do life together. The world is is not nice. It's a really dark world at times, and so you need your relationship. You need your family and your loved ones to be rallying around you, to be lifting you up when you're having a bad day. Not to say that you can't have a close friend or, a neighbor or whoever, somebody that is going to be a good example, is going to motivate you to do better in life, to do the hard work. It could be anyone, but it's even sweeter when it is your older brother or your dad or your grandpa, or, my kids don't have grandpa, but just saying in that respect, like it being a relative, because they know you, they grew up with you, they've watched you grow up. So they know you better than most people. And they obviously love you and want better for you. And so I'm working towards that. I know I am, and I believe my son. His apology and the conversations that we had, and him, inviting me to the party, also inviting some of his siblings to the party. That it was heartfelt and genuine, and there will be steps moving forward. But I do know that other people's feelings got hurt, and other people were involved, kind of came along when everything just went crazy. And so that is why my son felt like there's sides, right? That people chose sides. But I do pray that he'll do some inner searching and see that some of the things that were done were not all on someone else. It isn't everyone against him. There obviously has to be something going on with him that all these other relationships he has felt like he has to cut them off and only wants to work on certain relationships right now. My prayer is that his heart would be softened, and not just his heart, but other people's hearts would be softened and be willing to, sit down, have conversations. I don't know when that's going to happen, but have conversations and make amends and, just get back to loving each other and being good to each other, because it is a really broken world. And I know that it can be very lonely and isolating. I don't think I thought about it back, years ago when I had like a falling out with my sister, and I keep bringing her up because that's a big relationship that I did cut off. And like I said, we're past that. I've forgiven and moved forward. We're just not close, but I will be honest and say that I don't have the best relationship with my mother. Growing up, everyone thought that I was her favorite. Everyone thought that I was, she and I were super close. But as I've gotten older, and basically once I became a mother, I think things just started clicking for me and things changed for me. And she and I are no longer close. And I don't know that we ever really were. I just think that I had a lot of sickness. I think I talked about it on the first podcast, but just like near death type experiences. And so I think she might have just really been afraid. For me, looking back, I know I clung to her because I was afraid. And so now as a mom, I just understand things so much more that it was at a time, and there's been, that's one of the reasons why I went to counseling some years ago, is because of that disconnect there with her and I's relationship. But I know that she has had major trauma in her life, and so I know that she never got the healing. She never went to counseling. She never got the healing, and so she can only love me the best that she knows how to love me because of what's broken in her. And that is another thing with the whole accountability, that I thought of, is like we sometimes will stay stuck in our crap. We don't want the healing. But I'm somebody that absolutely, I want to be healed. I want my family to be healed. I want my kids to be healed, because it doesn't just affect me. Me being unhealthy affects them, and in turn, it's a trickle down effect. So, but when I was younger, I don't believe that I really understood it that way, like cutting off relationships or strained relationships, how it affected me. I don't think I really had the time, honestly, when my kids were littler. I don't think I had the time to really step back and like digest all of it. How relationships, how they affect you, and how they affect your parenting. They affect, how you treat other people, if you let other people in, type thing. So now that I'm older and my kids are grown, I think it's maybe an age thing. I don't know. I don't know. Or just maturity in general. Like I want to do better and be better. And I'm definitely somebody that has always wanted to be healed and healthy. I just don't like the feeling when I don't feel good internally. When something is off with me, I just don't like how I feel. And so I have reached out and, sought counseling, or sought, talking to a loved one, close friend that I know that I can get wise counsel from, and that I can get like be told the truth in love, told like, no, Kelly, I think you're looking at this wrong. Or I think maybe you need to call and have a conversation. Or did you reach out? Did you, take these steps? Because that's what I needed, if I'm going to people who are only going to tell me what I want to hear, like, no, that's your, they shouldn't have talked to you that way, or that's your son, you were disrespected. You have every right to be angry and upset. I'm just using that as an example, but whatever the situation is, if they're co-signing for me to not have that conversation, not reach out, to basically stay stuck in my unforgiveness or stay in offense, then I'm never gonna grow. I'm never gonna reach that healthy place or healed place. So I really think that all of this happening, God, it was by design, right? I mean, he doesn't allow us to go through things that will hurt us just to hurt us, or traumatize us just to traumatize us. And not to say, because I haven't gone through, like, there's people I'm sure that they can say, well, that's easy for you to say, but you haven't lost someone so close to you. You haven't lost one of your children. And I understand that. And I don't know how I would react to that, but I know being cut off from one of mine for, like I said, almost a year, I knew it was okay. I knew I didn't necessarily know where he lived because I didn't go to the housewarming party. I wasn't invited, but it just felt like a loss. It really did. And so I know that all of that, going through that, it's only going to make me cherish those relationships more, and also just probably not hold a grudge or not be so quick to cut somebody off, because of the fact that I've walked through this just recently. And my prayer is that he is he's able to grasp this, he's able to understand it, and he's able to make the changes in his life as well. Because I spoke last week, I do know that he's underneath it all, the anger, the offense, all of that, the wanting to cut people off, feeling betrayed. Underneath it all he is hurt. He has pain, right? But for guys, it's going to come out as anger and aggression. And so I'm prayerful that he is going to look internally and actually do some of the work, and actually, you know, even though he may not want to, God's able to soften his heart to where he is the one that maybe is going to reach out, or he's going to overlook offense and accept apologies, or give an apology himself, I just think that that's important for me to model. And it's not just doing this out of obligation. I'm doing it because God's impressed it upon me that's these are some of my flaws. These are some character flaws that you don't want to keep walking in. You don't want to keep doing for the rest of your life. Because again, it will just continue to come up, right? It'll continue to be something that I'm not healed in. And so all of that is what Empowered's about, the growing, the healing, and the being empowered to be an example, to be truly walking in healing, truly walking the walk that I'm saying, not just talking about, but actually, really truthfully, that's my daily walk. Some days probably are going to be harder than others, but my prayer is that I will continue to do that, and it'll be something that our family is not littered with a whole bunch of fractured or broken relationships, or offended family members, that we're all able to come together and just have a good time, being able to enjoy each other's company, and like they were really close when they were kids. And obviously our family looks different than when they were really little because, their dad and I are divorced, but there's still been good times and we've still always made like, holiday traditions. So obviously with Thanksgiving coming up and then Christmas, every year since me and their dad got divorced, we shared the holidays. So he would have them on Christmas Eve and then he would bring them back on Christmas Day. And that's when they would open all their presents with me and we would play all kinds of games. And I went all out with not just their presents, but with the games and prizes and things like that. And so up until just last year when all of this happened, we had always done that on Christmas Day. And so last year, because of everything going on, and I took a trip on like 2 days before Christmas, I think. I ended up taking a solo trip. Like I said, as people that know me know that I love to travel. And so I was like, you know what? I really felt very unappreciated. I felt, I was just kind of hurt by the whole situation. And so I decided to not do the whole Christmas and, spending enormous amounts on presents and games and all those things. I took a trip by myself and actually really enjoyed it. But this year, hopefully we're back in a place where everybody is always welcome at my house. I've said that for years. Like last year, they could have came to my house and played games, done whatever they wanted. I just wouldn't have been there is all. But the same for this year. I really hope that we're able to do that. We are taking a trip with Christine. Every year we do Aunt Willie's Christmas. And so I think the first couple of years we might have done like little, we did a dinner. We went and saw Christmas lights. We did Enchanted, I think, one year too, which is all decorated. Fair Park is all decorated for the Christmas season. And then that was a fun time. We ended up losing one of our family members that night, but we found her, so that was good. And then this will be our third year of taking trips. So we've gone to Broken Bow. We went to the beach last year, but it's not Galveston. It's a little bit outside of Galveston, but kind of the same area, Crystal Beach. We went there last year. And then this year we are doing Hot Springs. And so it looks a little bit different this year just because obviously my son, Jesus, his wife, and Mia will not be there because everything is still not quite worked out with them, but we will miss them. And then my niece is not going to be there either because she just had Gavin. And so obviously this time of year, it's all the flu season, cold, COVID, you name it. RSV is really big for babies. And so obviously he's so little, she doesn't want to have him around everybody, and I don't blame her. But so they won't be there, but we do that. That's one of our traditions that we do. And we just spend a lot of time together, eat a lot. My sister-in-law does a lot for my kids. She loves them. And so I am so blessed and thankful, and my kids are blessed and thankful, even though they don't act like it sometimes, but they are very blessed and thankful to have her, and that she just wants to spend time with us and do life with us and, cook. She's constantly cooking. We're playing games and just, hanging out and having a good time. So this Christmas Day, I've told some of the kids, like, y'all can come to my house. We can play games. We could do games while we're there in Hot Springs with Christine. That way she's able to play games with us and stuff. And, but we can always do it on Christmas Day as well. It just is going to look a little bit different this year. But I really think for me, my thing is it's never been about, the gifts that I get. I've always just tried to make memories with them. And I know that stems from my childhood, like not having those memories. I really don't have a lot of memories of when I was little. But definitely like holidays and things like that, I don't have those memories. So I really went over and above when the kids were growing up to make sure that they had all the things on Christmas, anything and everything that I could think that they wanted or would like, I got it for them. But I don't know that I truly taught them the lesson of like, mom busted her butt, or your dad busted his butt and worked 80, hours a week just to be able to, afford this for all of y'all and to be able for y'all to have all this. But I think as they've gotten older, they are able to understand that. And then I really do know that they just enjoy, might have something to do with the prizes, but they really enjoy all of the games that we do together at my house. Some Christmases they've been there, like as soon as they're done at their dad's, they've been over there, and I'm not even like really woken up or dressed really. So I look horrible in pictures, but they're just excited to be there, excited for the games and, spending the day together. So I do hope and pray that we're able to do that this Christmas, and that tradition just keeps going. Because my thought was, once they started having kids, is that the little ones will always be like, oh, when are we going to Nona's house? We're excited to go to my house because that's our thing on Christmas Day. All the games and all the prizes and just cousins hanging out and getting together. So, but hopefully all of this, I've kind of packaged it up and put a bow on it for it to kind of go with the theme of accountability and just working on relationships and growing and maturing, so that we are able to come together and have this, healthy family and the good times together. I know there are bad things that we'll have to go through and work through as a family and as individuals, but I think when we come back together, we'll be better because of it. We'll be a stronger unit because of it. So hopefully you enjoyed this week. And if you haven't already, follow, like, and share. But that's all I have.